Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing what might be some of the better bets against the spread today for college basketball, and this is going to be for January 12th, 2017. We've been seeing an uptick in our results as of late and hope to keep things rolling today. We got about 8 matchups that we're going to be discussing in this video, and if you're interested in what those games are going to be, I'll list them in the video description. And also, if you want more pick content or to get our free daily play, you can head on over to stumpthespread.com by clicking this logo here in the top right-hand corner if you're on desktop, and we'll also link Stump the Spread in the video description as well, so you can get there that way. Also, if you want more pick content in the future in this video format, you can click that subscribe button and click thumbs up on the video. It's greatly appreciated and really helps us out. Alright, so heading right into this video, the first game that we want to talk about for today's action is going to be the College of Charleston versus James Madison. The Charleston Cougars have the top-ranked defense in the CAA as this group puts in max effort on the defensive end, ranking 7th in the nation in points allowed compared to 326 in scoring average. Charleston has built off of their defensive strength, standing an impressive 13-4 overall and 4-0 in conference play. Charleston came through at home in their last outing against Hofstra, picking up the win by a final of 77-71. Charleston has also picked up some nice conference road wins thus far, winning at the likes of Elon and Delaware. Charleston has been a defensive force, and on the other end, the Cougars are led by Joe Chile, who's averaging about 16 points per game. James Madison also plays at a pretty slow pace, but this group hasn't had quite the same kind of defensive success that Charleston has, as James Madison ranks 322nd in the nation in scoring average, as well as 100th in total defense. James Madison has been better than most were expecting thus far in conference play, as this group now stands 5-12 overall and an improved 3-1 in the CAA. The Dukes had their 3-game conference winning streak snapped the other day, losing on the road to Northeastern by a final of 54-64. James Madison has shown that they prefer to play at a slower pace, which plays right into the hands of their opponent today. The Dukes have been led by Jackson Kent, who's averaging 13.5 points per game. Both of these teams have been a work in progress on the offensive side of the ball this year, but part of that has to do with the pace that these teams play at. Charleston has shown offensive growth, and they continue to play in the half court and lean on their defense for success. We do like the Cougars to come through again today as they go on to win and cover this spread on the road. Alright, the next game that we're going to talk about is a Conference USA matchup. Pretty exciting matchup between two of the best teams in that particular league. We have Marshall versus Middle Tennessee State. The Marshall Thundering Herd are one of the more exciting teams to watch in college basketball, and this group plays at a frenetic pace, ranking 6th in the nation in scoring average, putting up nearly 90 points per game. Marshall is a serious threat to win the CUSA regular season title, and this will be a great test for the Thundering Herd, who now stand 11-6 overall and 4-0 in conference. Marshall looked impressive again in their last outing, getting past Charlotte at home by a final of 110-93. The Herd have a number of legitimate scoring threats, and John Elmore has led the attack, averaging 21.1 points per contest. Middle Tennessee State is another talented and veteran squad that has the tools to compete for the CUSA regular season title. MTSU is looking to make a return run to the NCAA tournament, and on the year, the Blue Raiders stand 13-3 overall and 3-0 in conference play. MTSU plays at a slower pace, leaning on their defense, as the Blue Raiders rank 48th in the nation in total defense, compared to 175th in scoring average. In their last outing, MTSU came through on the road, beating North Texas by a final of 79-68. The Blue Raiders are led by Williams, Potts, and Upshaw, who are each averaging over 15 points per game. This is one of the more intriguing matchups on the board today, as two of the best teams in CUSA go head-to-head. MTSU is getting a lot of love from the odds makers in this one. Marshall has been proving themselves on the road, even against elite competition back during the non-conference, and thus far through the regular season, this group has been showing that they can get the job done on the road. We do like the Herd to push the Blue Raiders today and go on to cover the spread in what should be a fairly competitive matchup here. Alright, moving on here. The next game that we want to talk about is going to be, let's see if we can find it here. Here we go. Western Kentucky versus UAB, another Conference USA matchup. Western Kentucky has been much more competitive as of late, winning 5 of the last 6 to improve to 9-8 overall and 3-1 in conference. WKU has some talented transfers that will hit the court next season, but this group still has the pieces to be a factor in CUSA this year. Western Kentucky got off to a slow start to the regular season back during the non-conference, but the Hilltoppers have shown growth through the first couple months of the regular season. After getting off to a 3-0 start in conference, Western Kentucky came up short in their last outing against Old Dominion, losing by a final of 67-79, and that Old Dominion squad is looking really strong right now, so not the worst loss in the world for the Hilltoppers in that one, but one that they certainly wanted to pick up. Western Kentucky has been led by Q Johnson, who's averaging just over 15 points per game. The home squad UAB was one of the clear-cut favorites to win Conference USA coming into the year, but the Blazers haven't been living up to their lofty billing, standing just 9-7 overall and now 2-1 in conference. After losing in their conference opener against MTSU, the Blazers have bounced back, winning their last two outings against North Texas and Rice on the road in competitive matchups. UAB has been a bit up and down at home this season, and this should be another good test for the Blazers today, going against an opponent that has shown competence on the road this year. UAB has a balanced offensive attack led by Chris Coakley, who's averaging just over 12 points per game. Western Kentucky has proven themselves on the road thus far in conference play, but this will be a step up in competition for the Hilltoppers in this particular matchup. UAB hasn't been living up to their high expectations this season, and that's had to do with their inconsistencies on the offensive side of the ball. We do like the Hilltoppers to push the Blazers in this one as they go on to cover the spread, so we're liking the road team in this particular matchup. All right, the next game that we're going to be discussing is going to be a matchup over in the Pac-12, and it's going to be Southern Cal against Utah. USC came up just short the other day at home against Cal, losing to the Golden Bears in a game that really could have gone either way by a final of 73-74, and USC was actually starting to slightly pull away towards the end in that one, but then Cal, every time USC was able to build their lead a little bit into that 3 to 5 point range, Cal kept fighting back and just never getting off USC's heels as they went on to win that one right at the end. USC has been quietly having themselves a solid campaign, standing 15-2 overall and 2-2 in conference thus far. USC has shown strengths on both sides of the ball, ranking 55th in the nation in scoring and 131st in total defense. USC has split on the road so far in Pac-12 play, winning at Oregon State and losing on the road against the Oregon Ducks. In their other road games, USC has come through at Texas A&M and San Diego back during the non-conference. USC spreads the ball around to a number of threats, and this group has been led by veteran guard Jordan McLaughlin, who's averaging around 14 to 15 points per game so far this season. Utah has piggybacked off some of their easier competition this year back during the non-conference to boost their statistics, as the Utes currently rank 51st in the nation in scoring as well as 62nd in total defense. Utah isn't quite as good as those numbers might suggest, but this is still a competent team in the Pac-12. Utah split their recent road trip in conference play, losing to Arizona, followed by an 88-82 win at Arizona State in their last outing. In their conference home opener, Utah came through against Colorado, picking up the win by a final of 76-60. Utah has been a bit inconsistent with their results so far this year, and that's to be expected from a group that's lost some key talent this past offseason. Utah has been getting healthy as a roster, and this group is improving, and they've been led by big man David Collette, who's averaging 15.4 points per game. USC has shown the ability to come through on the road this season, but it won't be easy pushing for the upset here against the improving Utes. Utah has been a bit inconsistent this season, but this group is getting a bit more dangerous now that they're getting healthy. We like this to be a pretty competitive matchup, and we'll side with the Trojans and the points here in a game that we could see really going either way. All right, moving on, we're going to be talking about another Pac-12 matchup here, and that's going to be between UCLA and Colorado. UCLA has been throwing down strong results throughout the regular season, leaning on their high-powered offense to stand 16-1 overall and 3-1 in conference play thus far. UCLA's one defeat this year came on a buzzer beater in Eugene, Oregon, where the Bruins fell to the Ducks in a game that they had been controlling down the stretch in a very tough atmosphere, but they came up just short there in the end in that particular matchup. UCLA has been a lead on the offensive side of the ball, ranking third in the nation in scoring, putting up 92.8 points per game on average. In their last outing, UCLA outpaced Stanford at home, picking up the win by a final of 89-75, and what was another nice offensive performance for the Bruins. UCLA is loaded with offensive talent, and this unit has been impressive with 6 players averaging in double figures. Newcomer TJ Leaf leads the attack, averaging 17.4 points per game. And moving on to Colorado, the Buffaloes haven't been living up to their expectations so far this season. Looks like the spreads have disappeared on us here. Let's see. Okay. Getting back to the UCLA versus Colorado matchup. So Colorado, they currently stand 10-6 overall, and they're opening conference play at 0-3. Colorado hasn't been as consistent on the offensive end as most were expecting coming into the year, as this group currently ranks 170th in the nation in scoring average compared to 112th in total defense. Colorado was competitive on the road in their last outing, losing to Arizona by a final of 82-73. This will be Colorado's first conference home game of the year, and in their last home contest, Colorado was able to get past Eastern Washington by a final of 76-68 in what was a really competitive matchup. Colorado is led by Derek White, who's averaging just over 15 points per game. UCLA has been showing consistently impressive results both at home and on the road this season, and this should be another good test for what has been the best team in the Pac-12 up to this point in the year. Colorado hasn't been living up to their expectations, and this offense hasn't been nearly as potent as their talent would suggest they could be. We do like UCLA to come through today as they go on to win and cover this spread on the road. All right, next game that we're going to be discussing is going to be a matchup over in the Ohio Valley. Let's see if we can find it. Here we are, Murray State versus Eastern Illinois. All right, so this isn't the same caliber Murray State squad that we've seen in recent years, but the Racers still figure to be a factor in the OVC as this group now stands 8-9 overall and 2-1 in conference. Murray State might not be as strong as they've been in recent years, but the Racers will still get their fair share of wins utilizing their strong home court advantage when they do get the opportunity to play at home. The Racers like to push the pace of play, ranking 51st in the nation in scoring average compared to 278th in total defense. In their last outing, Murray State came up short on the road, losing to Tennessee Tech by a final of 67-71. The Racers have been led by Jonathan Stark, who's been impressive, averaging over 21 points per game. Eastern Illinois is another group that has the pieces to be competitive in the OVC this season, but the Panthers haven't gotten off to the start that they were hoping for, as this group now stands 9-7 overall and 1-2 in conference play, but it's still very early. Eastern Illinois came through in their last outing on the road, looking impressive in their 74-60 win against Eastern Kentucky. The Panthers have strengths on both sides of the ball, ranking 77th in the nation in total defense and 154th in scoring average. Eastern Illinois has been the second best defensive team in the conference this year, giving up 67.1 points per game on average. The Panthers spread the ball around with 4 players averaging in double figures. Murray State is coming off a tough loss on the road, and things don't get any easier today going into their second leg of this OVC road trip. Eastern Illinois is coming off an impressive win on the road, and we like for that momentum to carry over into this matchup for the Panthers as they go on to win and cover this manageable spread against the Racers. All right, now we're going to move into some Big Sky matchups, and the first one we want to talk about is going to be North Dakota. Let's see where we are here. Here we are. North Dakota against Montana State. All right, so North Dakota is riding a 3-game winning streak, and the Fighting Hawks now stand 8-6 overall and 3-1 in conference. North Dakota has been one of the better offensive teams in the conference, ranking 71st in the nation in scoring, as well as 175th in total defense. In their last outing, North Dakota came through at home against South Utah, picking up the win in impressive fashion by a final of 95-65. In their last road contest, North Dakota got past Sacramento State by a final of 90-82. North Dakota has been putting up some nice offensive performances as of late, and the Fighting Hawks have been led by veteran Quentin Hooker, who's averaging 18.4 points per game. Montana State loves to play at a fast pace, and the Bobcats have been putting up some respectable offensive numbers while sacrificing their defense, as the Bobcats rank 50th in the nation in scoring average compared to 328th in total defense. Montana State has stumbled out of the gate in conference, and this group now stands 6-11 overall and 1-3 in the Big Sky. The Bobcats were more competitive in their last outing, losing to Idaho on the road by a final of 81-83, coming off a loss in their prior outing against Eastern Washington by 18 points on the road. Montana State has been weak in the paint, but the Bobcats are always a threat with Tyler Hall on the floor, as their star guard is averaging over 24 points per game. North Dakota has been building momentum over the past week, and the Fighting Hawks bring confidence into this meeting on the road against the Bobcats. Montana State hasn't been all that great at home as of late, and they'll have their hands full against a North Dakota offense that's been taking off recently. We'll side with North Dakota to come through in this one as they go on to cover the spread here against a Montana State squad that hasn't really been playing up to their expectations so far this season. And one more game that we want to talk about today, and that's going to be Eastern Washington against Idaho State. Eastern Washington has been solid in conference play thus far, picking up opening wins against Idaho and Montana State, followed by a competitive defeat in their last outing against Montana in a game that was very competitive. In their last road test, Eastern Washington beat back Idaho by a final of 69-62. And the Eagles are very battle tested on the road so far this season, as this group really tests themselves back during the non-conference against some pretty solid competition on the road. The Eagles have gone against a tougher slate, which has skewed their numbers a bit, as this group ranks 151st in the nation in scoring average, as well as 263rd in total defense. Eastern Washington generally likes to push the pace of things on the offensive end, and this unit has been led by Bogdan Blitzniuk, who's averaging over 19 points per game. Idaho State, the home team in this one, has been one of the bigger disappointments in the Big Sky this season, as the Bengals stand just 3-12 overall and 0-2 in conference play thus far. Idaho State has been mainly been a disappointment on the offensive side of the ball, as the Bengals have some solid offensive talent, but this group still ranks just 310th in the nation in scoring average, as well as 271st in total defense. Idaho State is riding a 4-game losing streak, but to be fair to this group, this 4-game losing streak has come on the road against some quality opposition. In their last outing, Idaho State was throttled on the road by Montana State, losing to the Bobcats by a final of 63-80. Ethan Telfair has led the offense, averaging 16.6 points per game, but even the veteran guard isn't having the kind of season that we were expecting from him this year. Things have just not been going Idaho State's way this season, and a weak interior has put too much burden on the guards to make plays. If Eastern Washington is going to compete for the Big Sky regular season title, then these are the kind of games that the Eagles are going to have to pick up on the road. We like the Eagles to come through today as they go on to win and cover this small spread on the road against the struggling Bengals. All right, guys, that pretty much wraps up the games that we wanted to talk about today as being potentially some of the better bets against the spread. Yesterday we sided with a lot of home teams and it worked out for us, and today it just so happens to shake out that we ended up siding with quite a few road teams, but we'll see how things turn out for us in this one. If you're looking for more pick content, you can head on over to our main site, stumpthespread.com, and get our daily free play over there, as well as our premium pick content across all major American sports. And if you're interested, you can click that subscribe button to get more of these pick videos in the future. That's pretty much going to wrap it up for us today, so we'll see you in the next college basketball video. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll see you then. Bye.